creative friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm excited to say I'm participating in the Sarah Scraps Rediscover Your Stash project. We are assigned to work with florals this month, and I am going to be using florals and leaves from this Pink Fresh Good Times collection, which was released last fall. Now, I started with this paper. As you can see, it's a gorgeous framed printed paper, but there was a piece of it on the top, which you can't see in this angle, that was cut off. I had done a crop through Pink Fresh and I needed to cut off a piece of the paper, and so it's not a complete piece. And so I had the idea to fussy cut out these flowers and use it as a main element piece on my layout. I'm also going to cut out the flower, the moth or butterfly that was on there. Now, my original plan was to cut out the entire floral piece, and as I got about halfway through, I realized I really loved this pink border. And so using the leaves on the far side, I just cut an angle down on the pink to get a nice soft edge to that border at the top and the bottom. Now, right here, you see I've turned it on its side. The original piece of paper had the floral element down at the bottom, and that was my original thought process, was that I was going to put it at the bottom and put my picture on top of it. Once I started playing with it, I realized I had more white space, or just sort of a negative space, on the left side of the photo, and I decided to put the long floral piece to the left, and I'm going to tuck my picture in where I have that negative space. So it ends up working fabulous, better than I even expected. So now I'm kind of auditioning background papers, and I had a white piece there, and I go through all the papers in the collection trying to decide what color would be best for my background. I originally thought maybe I would do a white background and do some mixed media on it, but the very last piece of paper that I pick up ends up having the perfect background piece. Now, I did have some other background pieces that I really liked from the collection, but they weren't big enough because I had cut into them already. Like this one would have been great. What I really liked was having kind of a white or very neutral background, but with just a very subtle pattern. And this is the one that I end up going with. It is mostly white, but it has a very light bluish green checker print on it, and it's perfect. So the background piece to this long floral piece on the backside was a white and yellow element, and I end up using that in a minute. What I had just done is cut off the bottom pink piece that was the remainder of the border, and I'm going to use that as sort of a shelf for my picture. This piece that I'm matting right now was the leftover inner white piece, which was just going to go in the garbage. So I loved the pop of yellow as a border around my picture, but I also wanted something a little bit darker. So I took that dark green, which is the same green as the leaves, and I did a double mat around my picture. And I think the picture really pops off the white background now. So what I'm thinking is I need a little bit more decoration at the bottom on that shelf area. So I have these Pink Fresh border die cut, or not die cuts, dies. And I am going to use some of the scraps that I have left over and make some kind of a ruffled edge to the bottom of my shelf area. So again, I got another piece of this leftover white and yellow. It would again just been scraps that probably would have ended up in the garbage. So I am making a ruffle out of it. I took some of the green paper that I used for the second mat, and I'm going to do another, I call it a ruffle. And I like that pop of green at the bottom. I think it definitely needed some color down there, and I really like it. So now I'm deciding this pink, again, the shelf or the pink border at the bottom is just looking really blasé. And so I decided to move on to my title, trying to figure out what I wanted to do for my title. And this collection kit came with a bunch of die cut words. So I pulled out Beautiful and Friends. And I kind of meant this more as, yes, they're beautiful. These girls are beautiful in their formal dress up dresses and they're all friends, but I really loved the second meaning that their friendship is really beautiful. And so that is why I picked that title. Now, what I finally decided to do was that maybe if I cut the pink shelf into more of a ruffle, that would make the area a little bit more interesting, because that just stark piece of pink paper was just a little bit too boring. So now I have 3 colors that I am going to end up gluing together. I just put a little bit of tape on the widest portion of the top and I layer them together. Now earlier you saw the pink ended up not being long enough, and so I end up cutting 2 pieces and then I will secure them together, and I end up hiding the seam with some decoration, and it works out fine. You can't even notice. So I'm finally starting to make some commitments and secure things down. If you noticed, I only taped down the pink portion of the large floral piece because I want the leaves and those little like berry sprigs to pop up. I want some dimension. I end up putting just a few dimensional pieces behind a couple of them and not all of them, and you'll see that in a minute. But first I want to mention what I'm doing here. I decided to put a tag behind my picture for my journaling. Not so much that I needed hidden journaling, but I just really loved how the gold and the green on the tag just added some, almost like an embellishment to the top of the picture. And so to make my pocket for my tag, I'm using double-sided tape. I just put the tag where I visually wanted it. I didn't measure it all. Turn the picture over, and then put double-sided tape along the edges of where the tag will go, and that will make my pocket. I have not adhered it down completely to the paper yet, and I'll do that in a minute. So what are we doing next? Oh, I think what I'm doing is I'm going to adhere the ruffles down, or adhere the picture to the ruffles. I don't know if that's the best word for that, and then I'm going to tuck that in and secure that down. So I remove the backing of the double-sided tape, and then I'll put some more adhesive down on the other portions of the picture. And so now really we've got the base of this layout done. Now the rest is just doing the fun embellishment pieces. I off camera fussy cut out that moth. I think it's a moth, but it's still really beautiful. I love it. And it's going to go at the top. I know that I'm going to break apart my title, Beautiful Friends, because I like the gold foiled beautiful up near the gold in the tag area, and then the Friends just works really nice with its multicolor down at the bottom of the picture with the multicolor edging. I do use some foam squares to pop this up. I really love the 3L thin foam squares. Those are my favorite to use, and you see those at the top there. I'm going to pop up my bottom title, and then you're going to see me play around with a bunch of embellishments. I pull out the die cuts, the frames, the puffy stickers, everything, and I audition a ton of different embellishments. And I'm going to speed that up a little bit so you can see me choosing different things, but it's not going to be quite so slow and boring. Right there you saw I did put a little bit of foam behind some of the leaves, but not all of them. Now, when it goes into the page protector, it's going to get pretty flattened, but by sort of lightly bending the leaves, it does give it a little bit of dimension, and just look like it's a real plant in a way, like it's blowing in the wind or there's some movement there. So I like that. Now, what I end up doing with this frame, I wasn't originally planning to use it, but I really like it at the bottom of this picture as sort of a base for my cluster embellishment down there. So what I end up doing, because I've already adhered down the picture and the border, I'm going to end up cutting the frame. I'm marking it at approximately where I want it. And I cut it a little bit larger because you can always make it smaller, but you can't make it larger. And then that helps me give the illusion of it being tucked under all of that when in fact I wasn't really able to. This actually ended up working out better because if I had tucked the entire frame under the picture, it would have had a dimensional area in just that one corner, which would have looked odd. So I pull out the puffy stickers. I love this little flower puffy, and originally I thought it was the perfect piece there, but when I find a flower piece in the die cut pack, I end up changing it out for a larger piece, and you'll see that in just a second. So this was really fun to go through all of my pieces in this collection. As I mentioned at the beginning, it's about a year old, and I had used it for a few layouts, but I still had so much left. So I was able to pull out, use up some of my scrap paper, pull out the embellishments I hadn't used, and I really love how this layout turns out at the end. So right here, I'm putting some more flowers, some more fall foliage. I really loved that acorn that came in the die cut pack. It's a little big, and so I just couldn't figure out where to put it. I end up finding a smaller acorn on the puffy sheets, and I love puffy stickers. You probably will find them on all of my layouts if I can use them, if they match. So let's see here. I think I'm finally making some final decisions. I'm adhering down the flowers. I love this double heart up at the top, almost kind of making another embellishment area around my title and my tag. So this layout ends up being sort of an L shape design, with the first part of the L being that long floral piece, and then the shelf and the embellishments at the bottom being the bottom of the L. Basically, I only have two embellishment clusters. One's going to be sort of at the top with the moth, and then of course you do have that large floral piece, which is an eye catcher, and then I'm making a very large floral and leaf embellishment cluster at the bottom. Off camera, I will do some journaling on my tag, and you'll see in a minute that I put a little ribbon at the top of it. But for the most part, this layout is done. I've used up a ton of fall floral and leaf pieces, as was encouraged by the challenge. If you have any questions about how this layout came together, please leave me a comment below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, and if you like the content, please like and subscribe to my channel. I would love to see you back in the next video. Thank you, and have a great crafty day.